Okay, review of the Nex Carbon Vaal helmet. So this is their latest iteration of their long-running X WED2. They've changed the shell and a few other tweaks within it to make it a more competitive helmet in the landscape. So these are a couple of my personal helmets here. This is a Shoei Hornet X2 European version that I crashed in. So ECE certified, not the US one. And then this is what I'm currently riding in, which is long-running XD4. So let's walk through how these compare, and let's start with the big one, which is weight. And this is kind of the reason why you go to something like this, or maybe a Climb Krios Pro. So the Arai in US form is about, in a medium, is about 1,700 grams. Give or take 50 in all of this. The US Hornet is way heavier. The DOT certified one is way heavier than the European one. Is like over 4 pounds. It's quite ridiculous. The Euro Hornet is about 1560 grams, which is fairly lighter than the Arai, but still fairly heavy, all things considered. The Carbon Vaal X WED2 is on my scales in a size medium, 1471 grams. Or about 3 pounds, 3 ounces ish. And that's with everything you see here on it, including the visor. And don't forget, this thing has a flip down sun visor as well. So that's pretty light. A Krios Pro, the Krios and Krios Pro are both a little bit lighter in a size medium as well. But they're also like not much helmet there. So we'll move past that. Features and benefits and kind of sizing. So again, this is a medium, this is a medium, this is a medium-ish. It's technically a Japanese medium, which fits slightly differently. So I find in the US medium XT4, it's a tiny bit big. I'm usually a small in Arai stuff. The Shoei Hornet X2 fits me perfectly, very tightly in a medium. And I find this is more like the US Arai, fairly intermediate oval. It's a little bit big on me. So it's kind of similar to a XD4 Krios Pro in a medium. Like a lot of the other helmets too, they're split into multiple shell sizes. So a medium shares the shell with a large. You can actually swap back and forth using padding if you want to buy that. So fit-wise, yeah, it's not too bad. I'll throw up a photo of me wearing it with the sun visor down, just to kind of give you an idea of sun visor coverage. You can see it's kind of, I don't know, it's not quite as long on the chin as the Arai. But, it's got the classic adventure profile. It's got this kind of nice rubbery stuff down here to help mitigate impacts against your bones. You see a lot of dirt helmets running stuff like this. So I saw another vendor kind of note that it seems like Nex started more on the dirt side when they built their adventure helmet. Shoei very much started on the touring side when they built their adventure helmet. Arai, I mean, their dirt helmet is kind of not as dirty as some of the newest stuff and older, and the XD4 is a fairly old design. It's great, I love it, but you can tell it's not as like quote-unquote cutting edge. But I think, to me, the real story with the X WED2, besides the weight, is the venting. And this is, I don't think, anything different from the existing X WED2 in the carbon one, except maybe the lining. And so one of the big things that stands out to me, and I'll throw some interior photos up here, is how purposefully they designed both the EPS interior and the liner itself to really facilitate round the head airflow. So you have these two vents up top, you have a huge vent in the middle, and then this area on the visor kind of directs airflow into that. And then you have a replaceable chin vent. So I have the kind of dirt style, always open one on it. Right now it's comes with the other one installed, which is like a flip open small vent. And then you've got your rear exhausts, and then it also channels air down, kind of a passive exhaust down here, and you've got them up top. So again, the big thing is airflow. You're gonna, when you have these vents open, that air is going to be channeled in through the holes that you saw both in the liner and in the EPS, and really flow around your head in a way that I don't think I've seen in another helmet. A very intentional design for max airflow, and I think that's pretty cool. As far as like build quality, so I also think they changed the liner around. I know they changed the liner around some. On the carbon model, you have these like little areas here for a hydro pack to run up to your mouth. I haven't personally validated the difference on the top, the crown area liner wise, but they do report they've changed some things around for comfort. I know that's been a running concern on some X WED2 reviews, is that the liner has been an issue. So they appear to have changed it up a little bit to justify the price point, and I think it's pretty decent. It's a step up from something like a Krios, which is Sadness. I don't think it's quite as customizable and plush as what you might get in a Rai or a Shui, but it's closer now. But on the customization side, it does come with a bunch of additional padding, so you can tweak the padding to better fit your head with either more or less in there. So they're trying. As far as accessories are concerned, I don't think anything's really changed from the standard X WED. You have, it comes with a chin curtain, a visor extender, the like comms stuff for their, I think it's a Senna, I forget, it's somebody's comms. I use Cardo and they don't work with anybody's integration yet. Again, you have the double chin vents, you have a Pinlock 70, not a 120, not the top end, but at least it's included. Visor, you have the drop down sun visor, cable actuated, it's nice. And some like holders for GoPros and stuff. Overall build quality I think is pretty good. It's not the Japanese top end. You can just tell like the actuation, the feeling of some of the vents. It's a little bit less solid feeling. I'm going to say this a lot. It doesn't feel as cheap. Like if you've handled a Krios Pro, like it's actively creaky. Like you can move bits of the Krios Pro around. So this doesn't feel like that. But it's not the overbuilt, arguably, solidity of the Japanese side. Kind of a middle ground there. Price wise, it's expensive in the US. I got this from Europe, but I think it justifies itself with the extras and the carbon and the weight and what you're getting here. I don't think it's too off. And yeah, I think that's a pretty good summary of it. It's a very competitive offering in the adventure category. It's very light. It fits well on the head. I can't really speak to noise in person because, again, it's too big for me to ride in. However, I also don't like speaking to noise in general because it is so subjective depending on what you're riding and what your specific setup is and how tall you are, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I can go for a ride in an XD4 on a bike with a specific windscreen setup, and it feels great for me, and I can take it on a different bike, and the turbulence is perfectly calibrated at that height to hit the brim so it like wibbles in the breeze and it sends a horrible thrumming. So it's so personal. I have difficulty speaking to it. I have seen other people say it's not terrible, but it's a little louder, but then again, that's kind of a function of venting. So that's the X WED Carbon Vaal, X WED2 Carbon Vaal. I will say that Nex has a new helmet out that is still technically adventure, but even more dirt focused. I think it's the X WRL. And I'm very interested in getting that one in. It looks like it's made to be ran without a face shield first. It has face shields, but it doesn't have the drop-down sun visor. It doesn't have some of those other touring features, and it has even more venting. and it's longer, and it's lighter even. So I'm very curious about that one and how that'll stack up to what I've seen here. But yeah, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask. Again, I haven't ridden in this, so I can only provide so much input, but I'll do what I can. And I think this is a great offering if it fits you, and your priority especially is hot weather riding, ventilation.